Welcome in, everyone, to Cash That Ticket podcast here on the Straight Outta Vegas AM feed. Friday, April 24, 2026. I am your host, Munaf Manji. You can find me on Twitter at SportsNerd824, here to wrap up the week as far as the podcast does go. Continuing the NBA playoffs here tonight with 3 games on the schedule. We'll also look at the MLB slate for the day as well. I'll get you guys a coupon code for pregame.com, and of course best bets to wrap up the week, hopefully on a winning note. But joining me, as always, gracious enough with his time to join me on this podcast, is Uncle Diamond Dave Esler. Uncle Dave, how's it going, sir?
Yeah, it's going all right. It sucks losing a best bet. Joe Ryan got me good. The Mets kind of woke up, but that's going to happen. You go to the well only so often, right? I mean, I'm not really super pissed about losing it, but I don't like it. But I guess I could kind of see it coming. The market, after I gave it out in the morning, kind of went that way as well. But, on the bright side, I did give out my clients. My biggest bet was the over in the Knicks and Hawks game. And that made us sweat, but it got there. I mean, it certainly looked like in the beginning they weren't going to score 170.
Yeah.
And then after 3, they were well on pace. And we needed 49 points in the fourth quarter, and we got the 49th point with about 5 seconds to go. So, it's kind of one of those, they don't ask only how many, it looks great, but, and it was classic, one of those ones where I said when I gave it out, eventually the market just goes too far, right? I mean,
yeah.
For an Atlanta game, that was a ridiculously low total. The games in New York were, and then now we're going to make it even lower. I mean, it's kind of those sooner or later, you got to go the other way. So I can sit here and say that I calculated out all the points, rebounds, assists, missed shots, fouls, everything, free throws, rebounds, and came up with 217. But no, that really, full disclosure, not me. No, I just said the number's gone too far. It's inevitable. And I kind of got away with it on one hand, but the ticket cash. So, I gotta take that into Friday rather than the best bet loss, which shit happens.
Yeah, and as far as my best bet goes, I was complaining immediately to you after the first quarter that the bet was already dead. I had the first half over in Denver and Minnesota. Denver scores 11 points in the first quarter. They played more minutes in the first quarter than points scored by the Denver Nuggets, and a team that was, I think, finished number 1 in offensive efficiency during the regular season. And of course, we don't like, using regular season stats when we're handicapping these playoff games, because it turns into a different game, right, in the playoffs there. But the more annoying part to me was that they went on to score 64 points combined in the second quarter there. So, take it on the chin, like I always say. And, that's unfortunately back-to-back losses after starting, 2-0 for the week. So, if I'm going 3-2, or we're going 3-2 individually and combined 6-4 for the week, Uncle Dave, when we, do it 5 times a week, I think anybody and our listeners would take that any day of the week. But there's been stretches where we've had, 8-2 runs, 9-1 runs. Even I think we had a 10-0 run in there as well. So we'll get back on it here on the Friday card. Just to recap quickly, last night from a betting perspective, we just briefly were speaking offline, Uncle Dave, and we had mentioned on the pod yesterday that all 3 home teams were home underdogs in the NBA, and the Hawks, the Raptors, and the T-Wolves, and they all won their games. The Hawks their game was the closest one of the 3. They got the 109-108 victory, as Uncle Dave mentioned there, but the Raptors blew out the Cavs. And I mentioned it yesterday that, the Cavs had been one of the worst teams ATS on the road this season. And that, that pointed true again in game 3 in Toronto. So they made that a series. And then Minnesota right now taking not commanding, but they take a 2-1 lead after a 17-point victory. And they cover the number. The game lands under the total. So at least 2 of the 3 games did go over the total yesterday, as far as bettable action goes, because we were seeing a lot of unders in the first game and game 2s as well. So we'll see if that transpires here as far as totals go on the 3 games on the Friday card in the association. So it's turning into be a pretty good NBA playoffs. Maybe there's be a, I think maybe one sweep. I think OKC and the Phoenix Suns, that series could be a sweep, but hopefully the rest of these are going to be entertaining and maybe get to a game six or game seven for the NBA playoffs. So, Uncle Dave, let's just dive right into it here tonight. We have three games to get to, and we'll start with the Boston Celtics coming off of a game two loss. They are going to be in Philadelphia here tonight to take on the Sixers. Series tied one game apiece. Sixers did get the game two victory in Boston, but here they are in Philly. Right now, as it stands, the Boston Celtics are a 7.5 point road favorite here. Total sitting at 215 and a half. Looking at the injury report, I do see that one Joel Embiid is doubtful here for tonight. Maybe he returns game five, game six. We'll see, but officially doubtful here for tonight. As far as the Boston Celtics side of things go, Uncle Dave, that's pretty clean. A very healthy squad are the Boston Celtics here. So they'll look to rebound here in game three. What are your thoughts on the Celtics laying 7.5 on the road?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Celtics fan. I'm not an apologist, but I gotta like Philadelphia here at 7.5 points. I mean, they won in Boston, and I'm one of those people that's maybe a little older than some other people. I mean, I go back. This rivalry goes back a long way. I mean,
Yep.
these teams just do not like each other. I almost think it's the hatred between Boston and Philadelphia is probably more than between Boston and the Knicks. I mean, I go back to Barkley and Bird, and Andrew Toney lighting them up, and I don't know how Boston can be a 7.5 favorite on the road here. I mean, look at the last game, and it was Jaylen Brown and nobody really. I mean, they didn't have any help. They're relying on one guy, two guys. I mean, Brown was not great, but Maxey and Edgecombe just went nuts, and I see that happening again. I mean, obviously, I like to think, okay, well, the reverse is going to be true, and typically I think it is. But in this game, they got Paul George. He's got experience. They're at home. I mean, I would even be tempted to take Philadelphia on the money line here. I love them plus 7.5. I like them actually to win the game, if I'm being honest. And so that I'm not betting with my heart on that one. My head says no way. The Celtics are beatable clearly if they're not getting production off their bench or from anybody not named Jayson Tatum or Brown, and I don't think they're going to get it. Maxey and Edgecombe. Maxey always kills Boston, right? I mean, face it, but you can shoot over that Boston defense. It's the way to beat them, and those are the two guys to do it. So I'm a little surprised they beat Boston at home, but I'm a lot more surprised they beat them as badly as they did. So okay, if we're looking for a little regression, a little regression is not, okay, they won by what 14. Now they're getting 7.5, and it's 21.5 point regression. All things being equal, I love Philadelphia here.
Yeah, well, I'll make the counter argument because we don't really. Well, I talk a lot about trends on the podcast. I know you're not a trend guy when it comes to your handicapping at least, but I feel like when the Celtics got this group together of Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum, when Joe Mazzulla took over as a head coach for this team, historically, I feel like that the Celtics bounce back in spots after a loss. And I went back and looked it up, and it holds true, right? So since the 2021 season, and I mean in the playoffs, the postseason, that when the Celtics are coming off of a loss in the playoffs, and this is in particular, and their next game is on the road, they're 12-2 straight up and 12-2 against the number, including 5 straight wins, 5 straight covers, and they've won 7 of the last 8 games in that situation and have covered in 7 of those 8 situations there. And well, okay, 7.5 is the number, right? So that's what we're looking at. So they've won all those 7 games by at least 8 points or more. And the last 3 games, they've won by double digits or more. So I think the one strength, I think, for Joe Mazzulla has been since he's taken over as a head coach has been the ability to make those adjustments from game to game. And I think that Boston, just from a talent perspective, I think is a whole heck of a lot better than this Philly team. And there's always those one games, especially at home, where the Celtics like to play with their food, and I think we saw that in game 2. But I think we see a more focused effort from this team here tonight. I mean, they didn't shoot the ball very well from beyond the arc. Um, did or sorry, so the Sixers did, but the Celtics didn't in game 2, right? They were only 39% from the floor, only 26% from beyond the arc, right? 13 of 50. And Uncle Dave, being the Celtics fan, that they like to get up their 3-point shots. So, between Derrick White, who was 2 of 10 in game 2, Jayson Tatum, 2 of 8, Sam Hauser, 2 of 8, I think we do see some positive regression from that standpoint. So I think the bet for me still would be Boston minus 7.5. I think Boston team total over would be the look here for me. I think that if they win the game, I think they do cover the number, in fact, because kind of in that era of Joe Mazzulla, there hasn't been a game, at least coming off of a loss, that this team, when they win the game, that they don't cover, right? They come out, they make those adjustments from game to game, especially in the playoffs. And I think that they can come out here in Philly on the road and get the cover. And also, I think they can put up some points here tonight as well. So I'll take Boston. I'll make you feel better. I'll take the Boston Celtics here, and not just because you're the Celtics fan, but I do see that you're wearing the Celtics green there today, Uncle Dave. So maybe some some good juju for Boston Celtics here tonight.
Trust me, it's 100% subliminal.
You got anything else for Celtics Sixers?
No, I kind of like your team total over a little bit with Boston. I was kind of looking at the over in that game. I mean, it's another one where, eventually opposite forces collide. The market goes one way too far. So I do kind of like the Celtics. I mean, Celtics didn't play good defense, and that's certainly going to be a bone of contention tonight. So do I think Edgecombe and Maxey are going to do what they did? Probably not.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure Boston offensively will either. That's my counter argument. But I do kind of like your Celtics team total over there. So we are kind of in agreement. And if I like that, then I probably should like the game over as well. But overs in the playoffs are dicey to say the least.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, again, the team scoring 11 points in the first quarter of a playoff game. I don't know if you.
Well, it's not as
that.
bad. I mean, I think the Mavericks held the record, and now it wasn't a playoff game, but I think back in '97 they only scored 2 points in a quarter. So It could have been. I think they were 0 for 15 with 9 turnovers. So it could have been worse.
Yeah, it could have been. Definitely could have been worse, of course. All right, let's keep it rolling here.
They crushed the all-time low by 9 points. I mean, let's look at the bright side.
I do remember, I think it was it the NBA Finals where the Jazz had scored like 54 points the entire game, was it, if I'm not mistaken? I'll have to look that up. Maybe I can look that up before the oh, here, I just Googled it real quick. It was June 7th, 1988. The Utah Jazz scored 54 points. They had scored 17, 14, 14, and then scored a whole 9 points in the fourth quarter there. So I'll go back and look up that Dallas Maverick one if I can as well. All right, let's get back on track here, Uncle Dave. Let's go over to the next game on the schedule here tonight. We've got the LA Lakers, who bring a commanding 2-0 lead to Houston tonight to take on the Rockets. Rockets are a 8.5 point home favorite here with a total of 206.5. Of course, Rockets didn't have Kevin Durant in game 1. He did return in game 2 for this Rockets team, but it didn't matter. Luke Kennard, Marcus Smart were pretty much the difference in that game in game 2 for the LA Lakers. And I mentioned this, that especially with Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic missing for this Lakers team, that they would have to have the role players step up. And they did do that, especially at home. And Uncle Dave, when we talk about the playoffs, especially, and I've been a proponent of this, is that when you get back to the confines of your own stadium / arena, I feel like the role players on teams outside of superstars really elevate their play because they're just comfortable in their own surroundings. I'm hoping that's the case here for the Rockets here tonight, because I don't want to see the Lakers taking a 3-0 lead. As I mentioned to you, that anytime LeBron has gone up 2-0 in a series he's never lost in his career there. But what are your thoughts on the Rockets here tonight? Let's say lay 8.5 against the Lakers.
Well, I won't be playing Bronny James props, so let's just cross that off. I mean, I don't know. I mean, look at the market. I mean, Houston scored 98 and 94. We had a total of 207 and a half and 209 and a half, right? So it's still 207 and a half. I mean, that is like ridiculously low for a Rockets game. And so there's part of me that wants to go like I did with the Hawks last night. Well, it's going to go over. So, I mean, I would definitely lean that way. But, the Rockets were favored 2.5 in the first game without Durant, 5.5 with Durant, and lost both outright. Now they're 8.5. I mean, are they 8.5 because they need to win? I mean, I don't get that. So I kind of want to go Lakers, but I don't know if what the Lakers did the other night in LA is duplicatable. I mean, they got a grand total of 6 points from their bench. Jackson Hayes, in 21 minutes, scored 6 points. I mean, you mentioned it. It was all, LeBron, Marcus Smart, and Luke Kennard. And, I don't know that Marcus Smart can do that again. I don't know that he can't, but I most certainly wouldn't want to bet on it. So, you mentioned the bench, and I think that's going to be the case yet again. I mean, I think the Rockets only got 10 points off their bench. So where are the other points going to come from? I mean, Sengun had 20, Eason had 10, Thompson had 16. I mean, that's kind of like normal. But I just don't know in a game that's supposed to be that low scoring that I can't get behind the Lakers plus 8.5. And here's a Celtics fan leaning towards the Lakers, right? So I'm not betting with my heart. Because trust me, I would love nothing more than to see the Lakers lose the next 4 games by 40 points a game. But that's clearly not going to happen. So I have to lean to the over. I don't know why. Again, it's really just at some point the market has gone too far, and I reluctantly at 8.5 have to lean Lakers. I mean, I think anything other than that, it's kind of betting on the do theory, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Houston was favored twice in LA and had their full complement of players in game two and lost just as badly. So, as I think that through, I'm thinking maybe the under is the wrong thing because, it's going to come down to which bench. And I don't think either bench is great. I mean, I think the Rockets certainly have a better bench, but is it a bench that's going to light up the scoreboard? No. So then I think, well, maybe I should look at the first half. Maybe the Lakers in the first half is a better bet because let's face it, the Lakers are not young. So I'm kind of leaning Lakers here, and I'm kind of leaning Lakers in the first half. The more I talk it through, I just think that the Rockets. I think the Lakers. I don't think the Lakers can sustain it for 48 minutes in LA. I mean, in Houston. So I will. Yeah, I'll go with the Lakers here, probably in the first half and for the full game. I don't see them losing by 8.5. And I think if they're going to do well, it's going to be early. I think maybe they take advantage of. Maybe Houston comes out a little aggressive, needing to win, home crowd, yada yada yada. Maybe the Lakers are smart enough to take advantage of that. We'll see.
Uncle Dave does a fantastic job of taking his fandom out of it when he's handicapping his game, especially for his teams. I personally do my best, but I don't think I can because I get into the X's and O's and too much of it of what the coaches should do. But that's why they get paid the big bucks to coach a professional basketball team, and we get to sit here and criticize them. So take all what I say with the Rockets and the Lakers with a grain of salt there. But so game two, right? The question for me becomes that, hey, do we get another 48 points from Marcus Smart and Luke Kennard combined? Right? They had a phenomenal game too, and that's exactly what the Lakers needed for them to win that game. Right? Those two guys combined for 48. They were 8 of 13 from beyond the arc, and the bench was pretty much non-existent. Right? You got 6 points from the whole bench. That was Jackson Hayes, who played 21 minutes. Didn't get anything from Jake LaRivia. Didn't get anything from Jared Vanderbilt. Okay. Now, I think the biggest criticism for this Rockets team, and it's been a theme all season long, Uncle Dave, and we've talked about this guy, has been Reed Sheppard. that he hasn't gotten very many minutes in the playoffs here. Where yes, defensively he is a bit of a liability and a cone, but when you're struggling to score points and you haven't been able to score 100 points in the first two playoff games, he needs to be out there because he is a lethal shooter for this Rockets team. He played only 11 minutes in game two for this Rockets team, going 0-4 and 0-3 from beyond the arc. Again, it was not a great shooting night for this Rockets team. So getting back home, does that change, or has the defensive game plan and script for this Lakers team worked against this Rockets team? Because again, Şengün has not been very good as well in the first two games here. And Kevin Durant had what I think, I want to say he had 20 points in the first half, but he finished again with 23 and 41 minutes that he played for this Rockets team. So until I see some type of change in offensive philosophy for Coach Udoka and playing maybe Reed Sheppard, some more minutes, I can't lay this number with this Rockets team at 8.5. Do I think they can win this game? Absolutely, but I don't think it's going to be in a blowout, which means they probably win this game by 20 points here tonight. So, and that's what I'm going to be looking out for here in this game is that does Reed Sheppard get more than 11 minutes here tonight? Does he get into the realm of 20 plus minutes that he can knock down some 3-point shots for this Rockets team? Because in game two, Uncle Dave, 7 of 29 from beyond the arc, 24%. That's not going to get it done for this Rockets team. I know what I'm going to get out of Kevin Durant, but it's somebody else that has to step up for this Rockets team, and that has to be, quote unquote, which is supposed to be their second best player in Şengün, who, yes, had 20 points, but he's such a defensive liability for this Rockets team. And I think that's kind of been the detriment of all the easy baskets that the Lakers have gotten, especially in the paint. So I'll take the Lakers here plus the 8.5. Again, what I'm saying, take it with a grain of salt. I think the Rockets do have the opportunity to win this game, but again, a lot of it has to be from the jump that they haven't had a great first quarter in the first two games of this series. So now in desperation mode, your squad is fully healthy. I think you got to come out in the first quarter and make a statement and ride that for the rest of the game there, at least to make this a series now. Because if you take a 3-0 lead, or if the Lakers take a 3-0 lead, I mean, you can pretty much start making your plans for Cancun if you are the Houston Rockets there, Uncle Dave. So I'm with you. I'll take the Lakers here, full game plus 8.5. I think the over does make a lot of sense for me as well. But again, that might be something that I'm looking at in the first, 5 minutes of this game. That's that there's been a change in offensive philosophy for the Rockets, or maybe they're playing with a little bit more pace in this game there. So lean over, but I will take the Lakers plus 8.5 until the Rockets otherwise prove me wrong. You got anything else for Rockets Lakers?
No, I think you pretty much wrapped that up. I started thinking about Cancun, and Cancun and the Spurs. So we won't stay in the Laker lane any longer, as far as I'm concerned.
All right, let's go over to the northwest part of the country. We'll go with the San Antonio Spurs and the Portland Trailblazers here tonight. Another series that is one game apiece as they play game three in Portland here tonight. Portland is currently catching 2.5 points at home with a total of 220.5. And I'll get the official update here for Victor Wembanyama. He is officially listed as questionable here tonight for this game in game three. He did travel with the team to Portland, but again, officially listed as questionable. I don't expect him to play here tonight, Uncle Dave, but again, we need to keep our eyes and ears open for that in this game here. But nonetheless, give Portland a lot of credit. They were able to get game two with the Spurs missing Victor Wembanyama for majority of that game after he took that nasty fall on his chin and honestly looked like he knocked out for a second there. But nonetheless, 2.5 are the Portland Trailblazers catching in this game. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to try to find a bunch of shit that doesn't matter here, right? I mean, it's about Wemby, at
Mhm.
least from a betting perspective. And, they were San Antonio being they were 12.5, 11.5 at home, right? And so now they're only 2.5 on the road. So what are they saying? Well, what's home court worth in the NBA? I mean, usually nothing, but even give it a couple points. And so there's a roughly 9-point swing with Wemby being out, because obviously if he's in, that line will skyrocket up. So I guess if you like the Spurs, you would want to take them now. If you like Portland, you might want to wait. But I think what's interesting to me again is that total. I mean, I was a little surprised there were only 209 points scored in that game without Wemby. I mean, maybe the Spurs just okay. What are we going to do now? And maybe Portland was like, well, we didn't plan for this either. So I think that may have been a bit of an outlier. I think we see more points scored tonight. And again, the total's only down a couple. And these teams are, I believe, 10th and 11th in pace. Now that's typically uh, when they have Wemby in there, obviously. But they're the Spurs. They're like 12-6, I think, this year without him. So it's not like they've suffered a whole lot. Now, by the same token, I go back to what I said about Embiid. When when Wemby's not in there, the ball doesn't go through him. So I would think that maybe the Spurs would play a little bit quicker. I know Portland will want to play quicker for that very reason. So I'm kind of looking at the over there. As far as the side goes, it's a tough one. I mean, obviously, if Wimby's announced playing, I mean, I don't think he will be.
Yeah.
I think if there was even a chance of him playing, I don't think that we would see all these lines available to bet. I mean, books would just take it off. But if for some reason he gets cleared, that line probably goes to Spurs -7, and the total probably goes up when I think it should come down
Yeah.
because they I think that would slow the Spurs down. And I mean, Portland's flying high, right? I mean, people thought they'd go down 0-4, right? But they got a chance to go up 3-1 in the next 48 hours. So, will they? I don't know. But I know we'll see a spirited effort from Portland. And, they really didn't shoot well in that last game. I mean, they took a shit ton of threes. They always do, 38 of them to be exact. And, they hit 34%, which is kind of okay, right? But you would have to expect that to be a little bit better at home. So I'm thinking they're going to make the Spurs guards run, especially without Wemby in there, and tire them out a little bit. I mean, they're not shallow at guard, but I mean, if they get Fox and Castle running, that will probably over a period of time hurt the Spurs defense. So yeah, I like the over here. I guess if I would take it one step further, I kind of like the Spurs, Blazers team total over, maybe even a little bit more. I know they're the underdog, but here we go. I won't ever pass up a home underdog in the NBA. I said that yesterday, and all three of them won. So why would I? Why would I get off that train? I wouldn't.
Yeah, the interesting part is right now, Uncle Dave, I do see that they have Wimby props listed on DraftKings, which if he's officially been diagnosed with a concussion, I don't think he plays here tonight, which is a little mind-boggling to me. But I'm gonna go back to the same prop that I had earlier this week in that Portland game, and that was Jrue Holiday PRA to go over again. And it's simple for me because I know the usage is going to be there for Jrue Holiday, and also the minutes played are going to be there for Jrue Holiday in this game. And then I'm not going to regurgitate everything that I said about Jrue Holiday. It's just again the usage part of it for him. Trying to find a PRA over on FanDuel right now for him. It's at 27.5. I'm going to take the over on that again. He hasn't had very good shooting games thus far for the Portland Trail Blazers, but I think maybe being back at home in Portland, that he has a slightly better shooting night as far as scoring points. I know the assists are going to be there for Jrue. I know he's a pretty decent rebounder, if not maybe even above average when it comes to a guard his size. It's just the fact that can he get me enough points to get up and over this number? And it's not a lot that I'm asking him for, right? 27.5. That's not big. He had 16 points on 6 of 17 shooting from beyond the arc. 6 of 17 shooting from the field in game 2. He also had 9 assists and 5 rebounds in that game. So he finished the game with 30 PRA. And he's also tied, Uncle Dave, for the most field goal attempts in game 2 alongside Scoot Henderson, who finished the game with 31 points for the Portland Trailblazers there. So Yeah, I'm gonna go with Jrue Holiday as far as his PRA to go over here tonight. 27.5 is the number. Um, as far as the game does go, obviously a lot of it does weigh on if Wimby does play here tonight or not. I think that if he doesn't play, the guy that I would target would be Stephon Castle. I think his usage does go up a little bit more, obviously, without Wimby out there for the San Antonio Spurs team. And again, you mentioned it, right? That at least game two, we should have seen a lot more points being put up between these two teams. But I think that may just come in the first half between these two squads here. So I would look at a first half over. Maybe they score enough points where there's not a lot of pressure um, in the second half to put up a lot of points because, as I mentioned, I feel like the pace to slow down for a lot of these playoff series in the second half, and especially in that fourth quarter, if it's a tight game, that you'll see the defense, a top priority and the pace slowing down a little bit. But so yeah, I'll go with Jrue Holiday PRA over, and then I'll go first half over in this game. If you had a gun to my head, I would take the points here with Portland. I think they've been a very good home team this season. I think they can ride that momentum into this game here. But again, like we said, a lot of it depends on if Wimby plays here tonight. And right now on DraftKings, they do have Wimby props listed. That again, if he was officially ruled out, we would have already known that. But for them to list props for him right now, I think is maybe a little bit of a telling sign that he could play here tonight for the San Antonio Spurs team. Anything else for Blazers and the Spurs, Uncle Dave?
Yeah, I mean, whether he plays or not doesn't affect my take on the total, right? I
Sure.
mean, Portland's not going to beat anybody inside. I mean,
Right.
Klingon and Williams are not going to put up 40, 50 points combined. I mean, that's just not what they do. They're going to go as their guards go. They're going to go as Holiday and Henderson go, and Avija as well. So whether he plays or not doesn't affect my take on the total. I mean, I would maybe look at Robert Williams props. I mean, he did have 11 points and 9 rebounds, but if you look at him versus Donovan, uh, Donovan, they both played a similar amount of minutes, right? I mean, that's just the way they roll. Donovan was minus 14 and minus. Robert Williams was plus 13. So I think we probably see a little bit more of him on the floor tonight. So if I were going to look at a player prop, I mean, I love going to those secondary guys, if you will, and finding value. And I think you might find a value there in a PRA because Williams will kick the ball back out, right? He had 4 assists the other night. So if I could look at a Robert Williams points, rebounds, and assists, I would probably play that.
All right. We'll put a pin in the NBA for tonight. I think that we did a fantastic job of breaking those games down here for tonight, but hopefully, more importantly, we were able to find some winners in those handicaps that we just gave you guys. Before we do get over to some baseball for the Friday card, just again, I want to remind everybody to get over there to pregame.com. Use our promo code PICK25, PICK25 over there at pregame.com. You can get 25% off of anything, including all access football season picks at a already discounted price for the upcoming football season, whether it's college or whether it's the NFL. So I've said this all week long, that early bird gets the worm. Well, I think this is a good opportunity for you guys to do that. And also, I think the biggest thing is not only that when you get on these, pick packages, whether, it is, of course, we want you to get on Uncle Dave. Not only does it help him and his ability to help you guys put money in your pockets, but also makes us look good in front of the brass for this podcast. So if you want to continue listening to us and coming through your ear holes on this podcast, do us a favor. Get over there, pregame.com. Use our promo code PICK25. Fight Uncle Dave. Get on his season-long best bet package, or if you want to get on his football, picks package, you can do that, and you can knock off 25% of already a discounted price by using that promo code PICK25, PICK25 over there at pregame.com. All right, Uncle Dave, we got brand new series starting here for the weekend in the MLB. It's funny now that I always want to go back and look at the final score of the New York Mets and see
Yeah.
if they did win the game last night. But I did see it was like tied. And the offense did finally show up, or starting to look like show up. But yeah, look, I think it would be the most funniest thing that after losing 12 games in a row, that the Mets come out and win 12 games in a row. They've won now 2 games in a row. But again, we've got a brand new series starting here on Friday. I'm excited for it, Uncle Dave. I'm sure you've already looked at some of the MLB card, but anything that stands out to you from a betting perspective?
Yeah, I mean, there's some good games tonight. I think that for me, and this is probably going a little bit against the grain, but the market is crushing the under in the Royals and Angels game, and I get it. Kikuchi's been pretty good. Noah Cameron's superior, but I don't love Kikuchi to sustain what he's been doing, and I love the Angels. They've been scoring right. So at 8.5, I kind of lean a little bit over. I think the other game I probably like a lot is the over in the Washington and White Sox game. Now you can still find nines out there. I don't expect those will last, but we've got two bullpen games essentially, and we've got two bullpens that suck. They are two of the worst in baseball at this point, and we have a great weather pattern. Um, we got I think temps will be in the mid 60s with a decent breeze blowing out. So although we have offenses that can put up 10 or go zero, I'm going to think one of these teams completely goes off. Now, having said that, I would be. I wish I knew who was going to be the home plate umpire. I mean, I do look at that. There are some definite trends with some of these guys. And in the first game of these series, we won't know that until much later in the day.
Yep.
But you can't have everything. I mean, if it was somebody that was an over umpire, I would recommend doubling down on that. But I do like that quite a bit. I'll never bet on the Red Sox again. They are just pathetic. Um, what else is looking at? Who we got over here? Evaldi and Severino. That's an interesting game. I kind of like the over in that one, especially if we can get to 8. I do see that's at DraftKings right now. It was 8.5. I don't necessarily agree with the market. I wanted to take the over in Cincinnati because, well, it's Cincinnati, right?
Yep.
Small park, mild temperatures. We got a helping wind. Um, but you got Framber, your boy Framber, and Andrew Abbott, two pretty elite pitchers. So, it's 8.5. It's kind of juiced over, but I think that is sort of ballpark dependent, if you will. I would look at the first 5 under in that one. I think we'll get a 4.5, basically based on the everybody wants to bet over in the Reds game like they do when the Rockies are in Colorado. But I think both pitchers will kind of negate that. Now it could go over. I would look at that and go, well, if we can get rid of those guys by the 6th inning, we got a chance. So take the first 5 under in that game, and then I would go ahead and if I'm looking like I'm going to win that, I might take an in game over at 6.5, 7 later on down the road. But I would be lying if I said first games of series always sort of concern me with the travel. It's almost like first games back for some teams. Like the White Sox were on the road last night and
Yeah.
and come home and I've said this before, but for anybody that didn't hear it, these guys are human. Okay, a lot of them are single and doing the whole Mike Vrabel thing out there, I guess. But there's an equal number of them that are married with children. Whatever they're doing on the road, hey, let's just hope it doesn't come public. But they get home and the wife hasn't seen him for a week and a half, whatever the case might be, and she's like, "Here, honey, you take the kids. I'm going to the spa.
Yep.
Going to go get my nails done." So they don't get that sort of. I don't have stats on it, but over the course of the years, I know if you had bet on teams playing their first game back home after a road trip, you probably would be down money. So I don't say that to say blindly do it, but it is a factor. That's what kind of concerns me about taking the White Sox tonight. I mean, they're favored, but I think they'll score anyway. Just throwing out food for thought for whether it's for today, tonight, tomorrow, or any other games in the future. I think that does matter. But either way, I think, when I get a total of 9, what am I looking at? Well, it's a big difference if I'm playing the total of over 9 in a Rockies Dodgers game, right? You expect the Dodgers to get 6 or 7, 8. Maybe Colorado chips in a couple and you win. But I would much rather do that with two teams that both have the potential to score. Because if I'm looking at 9, I get 4-4. At least I'm going to push,
Yeah.
and I think that's what happens tonight in Chicago. So yeah, that's my baseball take before we see lineups and umpires.
Yeah, the first one that jumped out to me is what you mentioned there, Nationals, White Sox, bullpen game. We'll see probably an opener for the Nationals, and then Miles Michael is coming in, and he's been an absolute gas can for the Nationals thus far this season. So if you want to look at a White Sox team total over, whether it's first five or full game, maybe you're not guaranteed all 9 at bats for the White Sox. But I think in the first 5, at least maybe going up against that bullpen opener, and then Miles Michael is there, you could probably get a 2.5, possibly close to even money, if not maybe some plus odds there. So I do like that one. Um, the Astros, I think they've just kind of forgotten how to score, especially, but that's been on the road. They've had a lot of success at home this season. The Yankees are in town. Will Warren, I'm not sure if he's warranted, to be a minus 149 favorite, but it's also Lance McCullers on the mound, right? Who has been struggling. And again, it's early in the season, but it's been a theme for Lance McCullers that he starts a season that at some point he has some type of catastrophic injury and then he misses the entirety of the regular season. And again, with a team that's already decimated by injuries to that starting rotation, it hasn't been very good for this Astros team. And last 2 starts for McCullers, he's allowed 10 earned runs to Seattle and St. Louis. Right now, you have the Yankees coming to town. So take that for what it's worth. Maybe we do see some runs, at least from the Yankee side of things, on a team total over for the Yankees. Those are the 2 that are stuck out to me. Brandon Woodruff at home, getting plus odds. I know it's Paul Skeens, and you're playing that maybe that Paul Skeens tax, but the last 2 starts that Skeens has had against the Brewers, he's allowed 4 earned runs in each of those 2 starts there. So I think there may be a little bit of value on the Brewers here tonight with Brandon Woodruff on the mound at plus 104 right now, currently over on DraftKings. And then one more I did mention to you, Uncle Dave, has been the trend, and this will be the trend that I'll play until the wheels do fall off, that the Guardians, after a loss this season, have been very, very good in their next game. And they had a day off in between after they lost 2-0 to, in fact, the Astros on Wednesday, where the first 2 runs of the game were in the first inning on a Yordan Alvarez 2-run home run. And we didn't see anything from either team rest of the way there. So just to reiterate, after a loss this season, the Cleveland Guardians are 9-1 straight up. I would have liked it better if they were at home, but again, it is Max Scherzer on the mound here for the Toronto Blue Jays, and he's also been a gas can as well for that team. And a little bit of struggles from the Blue Jays offense, right? I think they've been a little bit inconsistent over the past couple of weeks, as far as scoring runs. But you've gotten one good start, one bad start from Max Scherzer. He did blow up against the Minnesota Twins, where he did give up 8 earned runs, but did bounce back against Arizona, going 6 innings and 2 earned runs in that game there. So, I like the Guardians here tonight as well against the Blue Jays there. So those are the couple games that I was looking at as far as the MLB does go here for tonight. All right, Uncle Dave, let's wrap up this episode with our best bets for the Friday card. Hopefully we can close it out on a winning note for this week. Where are you taking us for your best bet?
Yeah, I'm looking. No. I want to give you a number here. Where is it? Here we go. Robert Williams. I told you how much I like that. Well, points, rebounds, and assists. This is shocking to me. 15 rather at DraftKings, 15 or more at minus 122.
Mm-hmm.
I will throw that in there as my best bet. I don't like to take guys that may only get 20, 25 minutes, but based on what he did in the last game and the fact that Wemby may or may not be in there, I think it happens again. And he's one of those guys I would normally go points and rebounds, right? Because he's a center. But he's one of those guys that'll kick it out. He had 4 assists in the last game, and he doesn't have any pretenses when he gets the ball down low that he's going to just turn around and dominate somebody. So I like Robert Williams over 15 points, rebounds, and assists tonight at minus 122.
I love it. All right. For my best bet, I'm going to give you 2 player props here for tonight.
Are we chasing?
I just like them both, and I couldn't
Yeah,
decide
yeah.
between which two. I think one you already sang the tunes of him on Jrue Holiday. And I kind of hate that we're on the same player or not, sorry, the same player, same team here. But I think if for this Portland Trailblazers team, it has to be a collective team effort. So Jrue Holiday, I'll go back to him over 27 and a half points, rebounds, and assists. And as I mentioned, I know the minutes are going to be there. The shot volume is going to be there for him as well. The one thing I'm looking out for Jrue Holiday tonight is that if he's able to fill up the basket after two woeful shooting nights in games 1 and game 2. As I mentioned, the assists I know are going to be there. And I know the rebounds are going to be there as well for Jrue Holiday. Is that he's going to be able to get me over to the points. And again, if he has something similar to what he did in game 2, great. 16 points, um, 9 assists and 5 rebounds. That's 30 PRA. That got us to the window in game 2. So I'm going to go right back to that here tonight. Typically haven't given out Uncle Dave a Rockets prop, but this is a moment where I know that the superstar for the Rockets team has to step up here tonight. And I'm going Kevin Durant points here. He had 23 in game 1. Sorry, game 2, after he missed game 1 for this Rockets team. But being back at home here tonight, I do think that Kevin Durant will have a big game here for this Rockets team. And again, I know the minutes are going to be there because in game 2 alone, he played 41 of the 48 minutes for this Rockets team. And when it comes down to it, obviously he's your number one option. And I think the offense is going to go through him here tonight. So I know the shot volume is going to be there for Kevin Durant. I know the points are going to be there the minutes are going to be there for Kevin Durant. And hopefully at the end of the night, the points are also there for Kevin Durant here tonight. So over 23 and a half points right now, currently over on DraftKings at minus 121. Let's take those two player props to the bank here tonight. And hopefully we are back at the end of the night. And then on Monday, talking about some winners on our player props here for the NBA playoffs there. So I'll leave you with those two best bets. Kevin Durant over 23 and a half points and Jrue Holiday points, rebounds, and assists over 27 and a half for my best bets. All right, Uncle Dave, that's going to do it here for this edition of Cash Stat Ticket to wrap up the week. Anything else you want to mention to our loyal listeners before we get our weekend started?
Are they loyal?
I think they are. I think
Okay,
they are.
fair.
We get
No,
more positive comments than negative ones. I'll say that.
that's true. That's true. Yeah, it's like a restaurant, right? You go and you read. You can be a five-star Michelin restaurant that has three James Beard award-winning cooks, and there'll be all these positive reviews, and you'll see this one or two guys that just find everything wrong. Oh, there was a hair in my food. The server was terrible. We don't want to be those people. So yes, we are very thankful for the loyal listeners, and that listenership is actually growing. So we appreciate you guys, and we love doing it for you. I mean, if it wasn't for you, I would already be golfing. So I
Yeah.
love you guys. I love you guys.
Yeah, definitely appreciate all the love that we've gotten over the course of this podcast, whether it's been on leaving a review or just sliding into our DMs or comments on Spotify, whether it's been positive or negative. Just there's been a couple sour apples, but most of it's been positive for us. So we do this for you guys, and I also love starting my morning talking about sports with Uncle Dave as well. And the cherry on top has been that we've been more successful at finding those winners than not thus far. So hopefully we can wrap up this week on a winning note. All right, enjoy all the games and the action this weekend. Plenty of sports happening, so be smart, be careful out there, and hopefully you guys make some money. Till then, enjoy the games, and we'll talk to you guys down the road.